Alright guys, welcome back. We are hitting posterior chain today. This is workout 3 of my current workout split. We're going to start out with our normal warm-up, except this time we're covering both upper and lower. If you are confused as to what I'm referring to, of course you can just copy these moves, you can just do a dynamic warm-up online, or you can check out the other videos on my channel where I demonstrate the beginner warm-up or lower body, upper body, something like that. I can't remember, it doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that we're getting the blood flowing to all of the beautiful parts of our body. We're checking in, we're seeing how each muscle is feeling, checking in with each of the muscles, and just making sure we're nice and ready and we're not injuring ourselves. This is where I like to regulate my breathing and make sure that my hips are also quite nice and open and ready to go for the lower part of my workout. So we are going to be starting out with my insane superset. If you like to torture yourself, then guys, this is definitely for you. Who can relate to the struggle of trying to pick up those goddamn dumbbells with lifting straps? I'm always trying to make sure I'm like even on both sides. That's maybe like my OCD coming through, but who else is with me? Like it takes a minute. Anyway. Form, guys, form. Brace your core before you pick up the dumbbells. Just make sure you're doing your best to really be present with your moves. I heard this tip of pushing your hips back as if you're closing a drawer, and then you use your glutes to bring your hips forward effectively. I am still working on my form. I know I have a long way to go. If you see any changes in my reps, it's literally because I'm constantly trying to check my form. If there's anything I'm doing wrong, like please feel free to let me know. I'm always looking to improve so I don't injure myself, but also so I can demonstrate the best quality of form to you guys. When it comes to the good mornings, guys, honestly, it took me a minute to find what worked for me and to make sure I was engaging the right muscle groups. So what you want to do for this is make sure you're placing the bar at an appropriate height before you even start. I like to think about bringing my hips back, keeping the weight on my back, not on my neck. That's quite important. And then squeezing forward. Make sure you're keeping your wrists in line with your forearms, as that will help to prevent straining them and keep your core braced, especially when you're working with heavier weights. That's super important. Make sure that you have your feet placed slightly wider than shoulder width apart, that you have your toes angled slightly outwards. I feel like this really helps to engage the glutes. I like to think about pushing my hips back and sort of bringing my chest parallel to the floor, if you will, and then really just using those glutes to squeeze up. As for the RDLs, keeping a bend in the knee is key. Don't arch your neck up. There's no need to be looking at yourself, not at this time. You can look at yourself once the set's done. Don't do it right now. Try and keep your spine as neutral as possible. And again, for this, I like to make sure I'm getting an adequate amount of rest between each set because it is a superset and obviously we're working the bigger muscle groups. I like to make sure that I am as rested as possible, not to the point that we're on vacation, but that I've rested enough so that when I get into my next set, I'm not compromising my form. Okay, I'll be honest, I don't know what this machine is, but for me it's the fake pull-up, and honestly it's quite self-explanatory. Just make sure that your hands are further than shoulder width apart. I like to try and retract my shoulder blades before I do the full move and just make sure I'm really feeling it in my lats. You will also probably feel it in your shoulders a little bit and your biceps too, but I really just try to make sure I am engaging the appropriate muscle groups. In addition to this, guys, I like to ensure that I'm not shrugging my shoulders up. We're keeping our lats engaged the whole time as much as possible, and just control the eccentric as well so that we're spending enough time under tension. Okay, now guys, I need your help. I need your help, seriously. This block that I'm now going to do this part of the workout on, I have been using since I basically first started at the gym, but I think it's a bit of a safety hazard. The way that I get up, you will see. Please help me. That other tool that I put to the right hand side, that's what I see some people use. How the heck do I use that? Because I feel like I can't quite find my balance the same way, and this block that I'm using allows for the best range of motion or movement or whatever. I don't have like a hip thrust machine at my place, so this is what I've been doing, but I think it's just getting a little borderline dangerous. Anyway, a quick thing when it comes to my hip thrusts, I like to take a picture or some sort of video record or be very specific when noting down my weights, because I've written down the weight in the past and then forgotten what it's meant. I don't know if I meant the overall weight. I don't know if I meant the sum of the weight of the weights on both sides. I did not know what I was talking about when I write down the weight, so I just take a picture. So I don't know if you're dumb like me, but if that happens to you, just take a picture so you know what exactly you're talking about when you say 45 kg, which is what I needed in my case. Also, prior to lifting the weight up, make sure you're bracing your core. It is super important. You don't want to be all over the place because you can injure yourself, and that is what we do not want. And when it comes to this move or any super difficult move, I always tell myself, if you can get through set 2, you can do anything, because set 2 for me is the hardest. Once you've done set 2, you just have one more set to do. If you can do set 2, you can do anything, baby. So if you're like me, I hope that motivates you. Anyway, this is where you want your crazy music. You want to go hardcore. You want to be engaged, focused, be with your body. But yeah, for real, if you have any tips on how I can make this more safe or use that other machine behind me or next to me, please drop your tips down below, because I am not in the mood to be injuring myself. Another thing that I'm going to add for you guys is in terms of foot positioning, all I'd like to do is basically think I'm going to put my heels or my feet where my knees were. And that kind of gives me a good indication as to whether or not I've got my feet in the right place. In addition to this, if you start feeling the move more in your quads, you might want to move your feet out ever so slightly. And what I like to think about when I'm doing this motion is pushing my hips up and forwards. This helps me to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction and really just driving with the glutes. And then once you're done, feel free to RIP, die, sleep, take a nap if you need to, you know, it is what it is. But when you're doing the workout, pull all the faces you gotta do. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Bust out the faces, be the crazy beast that you are, because it's about the glutes, baby. We gotta do what we gotta do. And then once you're done and you're dead, brush yourself off, make yourself look all cute again, and keep it moving. On to the next move. So the next thing we're going to go into is cable face pulls. These, again, it took me a minute to figure out how to do them properly. I like to lean back a little bit and really just focus on starting the move from a point where I already feel tension in my rear delt. So what you do for that is step further away from the machine, and that way you're not starting at rest, so to speak, keeping your muscles under a state of tension. I really like to go slow and focused, especially when I'm finding it difficult to get that mind to muscle connection. Just go slower and you'll be good to go.
I just saw my friend booing me in the background of my video. You asshole! You asshole! Just because I didn't let you film my own video for me and I chose the tripod. Bitch, calm down. You wish you could influence like me.
I also like to just think about pulling it to my face and pulling outwards and squeezing my rear delts together. I actually forgot about my calf raises. Here I was stretching, thinking that I was done with my workout, and I suddenly remembered, oh my god, I have calf raises to go. But to be honest, they're a cute little burner to finish off the workout. For this, just making sure that you have the seat at the right setting so you can get the proper amount of motion when you are in range, when you're doing your set. Music is obviously a priority, so if you see me shuffling away on my Apple Watch, it's because #priorities, darling. And honestly, when it gets to this point of the workout, you need any energy you can get, so you gotta play your best tracks. Again, feel free to check out my Spotify if you are looking for a gym playlist, but I will give you a warning, my music is a little bit nuts. So yeah, just make sure when you're doing this move, you're bringing your heels all the way down as much as possible. Keep a slight bend in your knees and push all the way up. Any move you do at the gym, it's more important that you're slow and controlled and you have a good mind to muscle connection. Doing fewer sets and reps, but doing it with intention is always going to prevail over rushing through things, injuring yourself, being out of the gym then for a certain amount of time, and then having to come back and also be thinking about recovery. Just do it right from the beginning, or as right as you possibly can, and your future self will always thank you. That's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if there's anything else you want to see from me, feel free to comment that down below. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.